Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio? Maybe we might. Yes. Thank you, Jim. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is the 21st day of October, and it is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Wow. We had a really nice day yesterday with lots and lots of nice trends and pretty easy to see trades. And today, not so much. Anyway, it looks like the volume has been my problem this morning. I don't like this volume. And of course, as soon as I say this, it's all going to come back in the afternoon. But boy, this morning, there just hasn't been as much volume as we normally have. Anyway, these indices are all pretty much on the same page. A YM went down this morning. It was a little unhappy with some of the earnings, I think, that came out. So if you like to trade the YM, that I just can't emphasize enough to you how much you need to pay attention to the earnings. They come out 4 times a year right now. Who knows when they change everything, but there is some talk about trying to get that down to once a year, but right now it's 4 times a year, and this is the time of year through the rest of October and first week or so in November. The ES and the TF look like they might have been a little easier to trade because they didn't jerk you around quite so much. But I found one of my favorite markets to trade is bonds, and it really didn't give you anything this morning. It wasn't worth fooling around with. But crude oil had a few nice ones, and I keep threatening to trade the 6C on Canadian news. And this morning, what I finally did was put a little chart over in the corner that I don't pay much attention to. I'm trying to get it over here on my camera. In case you missed, I did put a screenshot in. But this is the first time I've ever done this, so I did this in demo, and I'm going to do it in demo a couple, 3 times here till I have got my confidence. But this morning, this news could have gone either way, and it was it had chopped around right here with these 2 elevators or chop boxes or whatever you want to call this stuff right here. This is really bad. But the news came out at 8:30. So since we had all this red trend down here and all this red apex stuff, and it went down overnight, it's well below settlement. Unless we got massive good news, this was getting kind of baked into the cake here overnight. So the anticipation here would be for it to move on down, which those numbers came out. They were lower than forecast, and it made the Canadian dollar very, very displeased. So when it right here had started to drop below this, these 2 up bars here were standing up off of this the 0.7 deviation level and could not get any traction to go above. And if you look at the VAD just gave you all kinds of information about what the expectation might be right here. But when you see this kind of a thing, you have plenty of time. These bars are all going to hit right around this deviation level. So I took a short right here with a tight I think, a 10-tick stop. And then I pulled my stop down, got out with 25 ticks. But that was just a news trade. A lot of times the Canadian dollar, I mean, that's like watching paint dry. Which is why I don't pay any attention to it. But news, and the reason I'm showing you that is next week there is not a lot of U.S. economic numbers that are going to come out next week, but that doesn't mean much except for U.S. numbers. There's a lot of economic numbers from Europe and UK. So in the mornings next week, some of those currencies might be a bit nicer to us than normal. So of course, now that I've pointed out that bonds is being a jerk, it's really taken off to the south side. But I put one of these institutional range charts, a little one down here, and I've been using this now for several weeks. But I really like this thing. It's not to trade with. That's just, I mean, you have to get this real clear in your mind. It's not to trade with. But what it is good for is guidelines. So for instance, on crude oil, when you get right down here, this is not a good place to be taking a short. I mean, unless you have overwhelming evidence with your other indicators. But when you just glance at this, this is a good place right here about 940 to start looking for perhaps a trade up. One of the things I did with mine is I put the time remaining on the bar on this thing. There is a bar timer in the apex. I'll show you where this is. There's in the indicators, there is an apex bar timer right here. That puts a lower steady on your chart, and it has bars that show you. That's just one more thing for me to look at. It doesn't tell me what I want to know. So I go down here into the generic one, and there's a bar timer in this generic right here. And I have it on the 30-minute too, because when you just glance at this 30-minute, I mean, you have a number of things that you're kind of watching. So when you glance at the 30-minute and now the 5-minute, I want to know how long have I got until it's going to make a new bar on this 5-minute, especially when it gets down close to the bottom yellow line or the top yellow line, and it went right up here to the top one at 1040, and it was telling you to be watching for a move down that you could take. Well, some of these sit out here in this little chop thing for a long time. I want to know how much longer is it going to take for this silly bar to finish. And right here it tells you time remaining. This is not going to work on diagnostic bars because they're not time-based. It will only work on time-based bars like minutes. That's the only time it's going to work. So anyway, I kind of like that. I don't see too much else. This is a really Friday afternoons. Keep in mind too that today is option expiration day. So going into the close, there might be they might start moving some of the underlyings around, and there might be some volume that comes back in this afternoon. So I think that's about all. Friday afternoons are a really good time, as a rule, to stop what you're doing and ask all the questions and post all the charts that you have questions about, and just make it very clear what you're talking about. Use those arrows and circles and squares and what have you to indicate exactly what you mean, because sometimes it's kind of difficult to, I mean, you're looking at it, and so it's real easy for you, but the rest of us have to get on the same page in order to answer the questions. The other thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if all of you were in here yesterday afternoon, but Aaron put a post in this chat that is absolutely worth its weight in gold. And I don't know if he's got that somewhere, but for the people who are just listening to this because they had to take off, and sometimes people, that's why we record these, so you can catch up if there was any catching up. But Aaron made a really good post about the discussion was, you know, how much are the commissions and how much do they charge you for the data feed, and what are the fees associated with becoming a trader. And he was pointing out that as long as you're in a demo, then you can use the NinjaTrader demo system for free. And if all you're doing is trading Nadex and you just want the NinjaTrader for the charting, then you can keep doing that. There's no charge to do that. But some people have been looking at the possibility of transitioning over to futures. And if that is something that you wanted to do, which whoever was asking, there were 2 or 3 people asking about that, then you will need to purchase the NinjaTrader platform, which is about $1,000. It can be, you can lease it. They have different payment plans. You have to get on their website and figure out what's going to work for you, or call them up and ask them. Do not ask for the trade desk. Ask for customer service. Once you have purchased that or leased it or whatever you're doing, then the data for almost everything we trade in here is provided to you with no charge through that the purchase of your NinjaTrader platform. There are some fees when things close on different exchanges than that the audio is there an audio problem? Sorry if there is. Anyway, if you trade, for instance, TF does not close on the your orders are not being put through the Globex. It's the International Commodities Exchange. So there is a fee if you want to trade TF, DX, and there's 2 or 3 others. Whatever they are, you can look them up on the site. But normally that's it. If you are using the NinjaTrader brokerage for your brokerage account, then there is a sliding scale on the commission fees, and the very best deal for you is when you purchase the platform. And it gets it down to something like, I don't know, $3.50 to $4 in that range, round trip, which means the buy and the sell, the in and the out, in other words, is round trip. So, oh, great. Thank you for posting that. That's wonderful. But anyway, what he's pointing out is that the expense of your Apex membership fee, the monthly expense of your commissions, and if you have a data feed for extra things, is so minimal. It's a cost of doing business. So name another business where your business expenses are that low with the potential for a six-figure income. And he points out six figures, and I would say the potential for a seven-figure income. For that kind of a monthly business expense and that kind of a capital outlay. This is a business, and that is very difficult sometimes for new people to grasp. This is a business. This is not messing around, a video game. I'm going to try this for a little bit and see if I can do it. No, this is a business. And every business has business expenses. And John, thank you. That illustrates my point exactly. This is a member who is beginning with his trading a little more seriously, but he's got a brick and mortar business, and his overhead is 10 grand a month. So let's get this all in perspective here, what we're doing. So yes, there is a capital outlay you will need if you are going to be a professional trader. At some point, you will need a trading computer. And there's a lot of information about trading computers on the website, and there are a lot of people in here who are perfectly capable of building their own trading computers, and they're smart enough to know this is getting into something they might just want to bite the bullet and get a professional to custom make it. And that I truly am in that camp. If you can build a computer, that's fine for friends and family and laptops and what have you. But trading, that's a different animal altogether. So the capital expense of your computer and those monthly business expenses are absolutely minimal relative to the income. But then you have to consider the other side of the story, the rest of the story, which is, while this is very simple, it is extremely simple, simple, but it's not easy, and you will have to spend some time with your education. There's no question about it. If you intend to be a professional trader, you need to go after this in that exact mindset, that this is how you're going to make your living, and you intend to live very well. And in order to do that, you don't have to depend on anybody else. It's nobody else's decision. Are they going to buy this, or can you sell that, or whatever? No. It's all you. Each of us has to take the individual responsibility. So your education and your business expenses and your capital outlay, but this is business. So anyway, and it's something that it can definitely be done. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, and the self-talk. Please don't start telling yourself, oh, I can't do this. Yes, you can, but it's frustrating. It's not easy, but this stuff really does work. So, and then of course, if you get yourself in a problem, you can always contact whoever the shipper is for the shock collars that Lori will zap you with, and you'll learn a lot faster that way. you'll learn to avoid being electrocuted. So anyway, kind of give that some thought over the weekend, because I'm going to be on everybody's case. And you do know that I'm talking to myself when I do this, about getting your business plan together for next year, because we're going to be closing out this year in the next couple of months, give or take a week or so. And so we're going to be starting over again. You go from heroes to zeros on January 1st. So there'll be a lot more of this kind of stuff coming from me, because it's not only to help other people, but it really starts to, well, Marilyn, if you're talking about that, you better get out your pencil and your notebook and get ready. So anyway, I hope, we've got the VIX coming down, and